That's a very alarming bit of information for a 911 dispatcher.
That is.
Ron Stucker is Chief of Criminal Investigations at the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
Deputies arrive at the house and say, what do we have here?
We were all split up immediately once they got to the door. I think 2 officers arrived first in one car, and then immediately there was 3 or 4 cars. Total, there was at least 5 or 6 different cars through the night and different people. They were here all night and all morning.
All night? I mean, like really
until about 5:30 in the morning?
Yeah, about 5:30 in the morning. Was it 5:30? Actually, no, they brought her back around 7 in the morning.
They left here at 5:30 and they brought her back at 4.
Yeah. Wait a minute, they left here at 5:30 with Casey?
Yeah, so they were here all night, and there were multiple deputies here all night. I mean, there was
5
at
initially,
least 5 different ones.
and the detective didn't arrive till about 3:30.
And what they find out is they're getting really mixed stories and conflicting information.
The story investigators got from Casey is that 1 month before, she dropped Kaylee off with her babysitter, Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, before heading to work at Universal Studios. When she returned to pick Kaylee up, no one was home.
Yeah, I mean, it was an all-night. I can't tell you how many people were here. I wish I'd have gotten everybody's cards. I remember what they all look like, but, I mean, different people talked to her. At least 4 or 5 different officers took her statements, pulled her aside, grilled her, took our statements. I mean, it was an all-night thing. We were outside, we were inside. It was very rare that we were together, and they didn't want Casey with any one of us for any period of time. George and I could be together, Lee and I could be together, the 3 of us could be together, but they pretty much wanted Casey to themselves.
July 16th, she receives a text message at 6:50 a.m. It's from her boyfriend, Anthony Lazaro. It reads, "Where is Kaylee?" 8 minutes later, at 6:58 a.m., Lazaro sent another text. It reads, "Why wouldn't you tell me, of all people? I was your boyfriend that cares about you and your daughter. Doesn't make sense to me. Why would you lie to me, thinking she was fine and with your nanny?" Then 6 minutes later, at 7:04 a.m., another text from Lazaro. This one, an important clue. It reads, "Who is this Zanny Nanny person?" We do have a record of one text message sent from Casey. It's a mass text that simply reads, "Kaylee's missing. She has been for 32 days now. Please, if you have any information, call me on my cell or at home." At that point, Casey's inbox is flooded with text messages. Over the next 4.5 hours, Casey receives 47 text messages from 13 numbers.
She's been unaccounted for more than 30 days at this point.
It's incredible.
That's got to be hugely unusual in this kind of case.
Incredible disadvantage for us.
That disadvantage was about to get a whole lot worse. Deputies with Casey in tow began looking for this babysitter, Zenaida. They drove Casey to the apartment where she said she'd left Kaylee with the sitter. But the apartment, it turned out, had been vacant for almost 5 months.
Later that morning, 10:04 a.m., Casey's ex-fiancee Jesse Grunn sends her a text that sums up many people's feelings about the case. It reads, "32 days, is that a misprint?"
Casey then led detectives on what turned out to be a wild goose chase around Orlando. She pointed out an apartment building where she says Zenaida had lived 2 years ago. It turned out to be a seniors-only facility. Then she brought them to a building where she says Zenaida's mother owned a condo, but no one in the building knew the babysitter or her mother. The investigators then returned to the first apartment building to go through the residence list. There was no Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez living there, but they did locate a Zenaida Gonzalez who'd applied to rent an apartment back in June.
They called my cell phone, and then they asked me that, they first asked me, are you Zenaida Gonzalez? Yes.
To this day, this Zenaida isn't sure how Casey got her name, whether it was just coincidence or if Casey may have come across the visitor's log at that apartment building. But Zenaida told investigators she'd never heard of Casey and was most certainly not a babysitter, and the sheriff's office believed her.
I got 6 kids of my own. Would you think I want to bring another one into the family? I'm okay. I have enough. I have enough.
Zanny the nanny.
Yes.
Your opinion, does this person exist?
As a nanny for her babies?
Yeah.
No, she does not exist.
Imaginary friend.
Exactly.
Every possible lead that Casey Anthony had given detectives turned out to be a dud. The apartment where she claimed she dropped CAYLEE off, vacant. And that babysitter, a phantom. And there was something else. There was no evidence at all that she told anyone about her daughter's disappearance in that last month. By now, the detectives were certain that CAYLEE Anthony was spinning a web of lies, and they were going to confront her on the last stop of this Orlando tour, the Universal Studios theme park. With her story unraveling, CAYLEE accompanied investigators to the employee entrance at Universal Studios, telling the security guard she'd lost her ID.
And we said, well, go ahead and let her in. Let's just go walk down to her office. And she walked with the detectives down a hallway and just walked down looking in offices. And
you got a breakthrough moment at that point, didn't you, Chief?
She reached the end of the hallway and she turned around, and when she ran out of room, and she said, I'm lying to you. I don't work here.
She had once, but not for years. During a recorded conversation in a conference room at the theme park, CAYLEE broke down and confessed that she had been lying.
Okay, so you purposely misled us. This was all in an attempt to help find your daughter, right? That makes sense to you, correct?
Again, in a backward sort of way, yes.
Caught in a lie, but still she stuck to her original story, that a babysitter named Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez had indeed kidnapped CAYLEE.
I was scared. I saw my mom's reaction right off the bat, and it would have been the same from the get-go.
So wait a minute. So you're more afraid of your mom's reaction than you are if you ever see your daughter again?
You know, I'm absolutely petrified. Absolutely petrified. I know my mom will never forgive me. I'm never going to forgive myself. Because there's that chance that I might not see CAYLEE again, and I don't want to think about it.
Well, let me ask you.
She forged on with her baffling logic. She'd led investigators on a merry chase to Universal Studios, she said, in hopes that they'd stumble upon CAYLEE.
I'm coming back to places that are familiar to me, that I know are familiar to her. Familiar situations that maybe, just maybe would help. She's almost 3.
She's almost 3. What do you think, she's going to take a cab here? I mean,
I know
how do you think she's going to get here?
Because she's with someone else. If I could find her,
She's
if I
with
could
someone
track her
else.
down,
She's
this would be happening.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's put this together where it makes sense, okay? She's with someone else who's hid her from you for 5 weeks.
Yes.
But you brought us here today because she might be here.
She could be anywhere.
Casey and the truth.
Casey and the truth have a problem. You know, everything she said almost is a complete lie, or it's not checking out. Investigators can't find anything, and they tell her, we're going to help you, but you need to tell us the truth.
After their confrontation at Universal Studios, investigators took CAYLEE to the county jail and charged her with child neglect.
Something today that she was going to be. Do you know
Yes,
anything?
actually, I just spoke to her attorney as I pulled in my driveway. I just got home a few minutes ago, and confirmed, because I had heard, rumors about 10, 15 minutes prior to speaking with him. And it was actually, it wasn't a surprise to him, wasn't a surprise to us. I mean, that's the reason that they were holding her for, was willful child neglect and withholding vital evidence or something from the authorities. But right now, I mean, he's her attorney, and I'm looking this as a victory, because if they had something else to charge her with, they certainly would have done that today. So that just tells us that they don't have anything on CAYLEE, and they're not going to have anything on CAYLEE. So they want to keep her there because they think she's going to crack, and she's going to tell them exactly where CAYLEE's at. I mean, one thing I know for sure is that Casey knows who has CAYLEE, but she doesn't know where CAYLEE's at. And I know one thing for sure is that, Casey is determined that she's going to protect CAYLEE to the end. If it costs her, her being behind bars the rest of her life, she's going to protect CAYLEE.